pages 21, 22, and 23.
National Broker, the Teamsters Local 79. I'm Jim Sheriff.
For this month,
John Schultes, business agent for the union.
Mike Jolie, Local 79.
Ed Cizik, Utilities.
Doug Heck, Utilities.
Bruce Lee, Facilities. Paul Majorini, Libraries.
Frank Pilgrim, Utilities.
Juan Johnson, Utilities.
Tom Long, Fleet. Tom Gill, Facilities Management.
John, let me get one article out of the way. Article 24, medical leave.
Which page?
33 through 37. The substantive provision is on 36. We had language, we had strike through actually language. The attendance award program. And those indicate that the union's counter on that was basically to do it as a need to, if we did it on a countywide basis. We would be amenable to it. If that's still the counter proposal, we will accept that.
Do you have the verbiage that I wrote where it says bargaining employees shall be allowed to participate in any attendance award program for medical leave conversion offered to non-bargaining employees if the conditions apply?
I don't have that, but that will work.
Okay, so I can just take this out of my packet here. You volunteer, so right?
Yes. And that would take care of that article, right?
I just put a bow around with the handwritten verbiage to initial so there's no misunderstanding. Put it here for copy. All right, your turn. I'll turn to the cooperative.
Well, your turn, please.
I'm just going to cruise through these open articles. See if there's anything else that we're close to agreeing to. Article 42, employee performance evaluation. Page 58 of 75. Have there been any changes to the evaluation?
yeah, we discussed that last time, that we changed it this year.
'Cause,
That we changed it.
I mean, I know that, you know, the 20 years, 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 20 ye Yeah, but I mean, as far as the content or the, how the scoring system and all that stuff, I mean, is it nothing more than just how often?
Well, I can get a copy, but the new one's based on our values primarily, and it has a goal setting component.
That's different from the, okay, is that a change? I mean, it obviously is a change, the way you normally are performing, administering your performance evaluation. I guess if you have a different way of scoring it.
The scoring isn't, I'm just trying to think, since there's no money attached to it, I don't think it explains how to score it, to tell you the truth. We're just rolling it out now. Talks a lot about the goal setting component, and then it's got the, meet standards and that, all that, but there really isn't a, add up these scores type of thing.
Well, my concern is that if we are in a status quo environment where everything needs to remain the same, and although you've mentioned that the employee performance evaluation currently does not affect a monetary increase, it certainly does have a great effect on the employees in several other departments. One is your proposed retention matrix factors in the employee performance evaluations, and as well as any promotional opportunities. I would imagine you're going to be looking at the performance evaluations, and that could affect the person's pay greatly if they're selected for a promotion, and a component of that selection process is based on the performance evaluation. So my concern is that is the county changing the status quo by changing the employee performance evaluation structure or the way it's rolled out? I mean, that's a question for you, I guess, the attorney. What's your opinion? It doesn't change the conditions of employment?
I'd have to review the evaluation and see if there's any substantive change, or if it's just window dressing change.
Do you have a copy of it that I can see?
Yeah, not on me. I said before I got one.
Yeah, because I mean.
Yeah, I haven't made a secret of this. I've mentioned this a few times.
Oh, I understand. I mean, we've been
And you
talking
never-
about a lot of different things, Barbara, and until they actually happen. And the fact that if Jim doesn't even have a knee-jerk response, then as far as yes, there is a change, or no, there isn't a change, he needs to look into it just as much as I need to look into it. We always, everybody needs to look into everything. So I understand that it hasn't been a big secret. I get that. But at the same time, now that it's going to become more relative and have a greater effect potentially on employees, I need to take a closer look at it. So,
All right, you agree with if you look at the proposal on page 58, the second sentence, with respect to the criteria, that's a managerial prerogative. Right? You agree with that?
I understand once we have a collective bargaining agreement in place, that our criteria can be, I understand that.
Okay.
But the bottom line is right now we're kind of in a frozen state, I guess, and to be quite honest, our goal is to have a contract where the employee performance evaluation is going to have, probably only have an effect on promotional opportunities, I would imagine, more than anything else, if anything else. So, and I'll explain more about that when we, continue to roll out our proposals, but I just wanted to get that out there that, if there are significant changes to it, then, we need to take a good look at that and decide whether or not that there's a change in the status quo. Now, back to the proposal. So can you get first of all, can you get me a copy of that by the end of today?
I said, how many times, yeah, I don't have the.
Don't start getting pissy with me,
You
Barbara.
know,
I'm not in the mood.
let's do this. Let's put that behind us. We'll take a break. We'll go off the record.
I mean, you need it right this second?
If you let me finish my sentence before you rudely interrupted me, you would have heard what my request was by the end of bargaining today.
Well, I
So
said.
stop being such a
2 or
snippy
3
little whatever you are,
Oh,
and
don't even
start
go.
treating me with respect, and I will treat you with respect. And don't point your pen at me because I'll point mine at yours.
Oh, good.
I'm really not in the
Like
mood
a
for your
2-year-old.
childless BS. Okay? So just be polite, be
I
professional.
already said.
Can you do that?
I already said a couple of times, I don't have it on me. Honestly,
I didn't
my
ask if you had it on
office,
you.
my
I've never
office
asked
is
if you have it on.
upstairs.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the question one more time. Can I have a copy of this before the end of today?
No.
Yes.
No, you can't. We'll send it to you.
Well, let me explain something.
You know, we've been discussing this for months, and all of a sudden, as soon as we're at the end of the training for everybody, all of a
Has
sudden,
it been
it's an issue.
implemented? And when has it been implemented?
We're in the process, we have one more training session.
Right. So it hasn't been implemented, has it? You've been talking about it.
We're training people.
Right, but it hasn't been implemented, has it? Have you given a single employee performance evaluation with this new system? Yes or no? You haven't.
It's changing to the fiscal year,
Okay.
so.
So it hasn't
to-
happened yet. So you can talk about things that are going to happen for months and months.
But you're
and months
waiting
and months.
until everybody's trained before you.
I'm not waiting for anything. I'm asking for a copy of whatever it is that you've come up with to evaluate whether there's any changes that are significant and would create a problem with the status quo environment.
Yeah, and my point is, I've discussed this several times, and
I heard
you never once asked
I've
for
heard
a
you.
copy of anything.
I've heard you.
So now, last
So
minute,
let me get this straight. If I don't ask for a copy of something the very first time you mention it, I lose my opportunity to ask for a
No.
copy of something? It's ridiculous. So if I don't get a copy today and I get one via email, that's fine. If you wait until the day after it's implemented and I find fault with it or I find some significant changes that weren't negotiated, then I'll file a ULP. But until that
go
time,
ahead.
I don't think it's an unreasonable
There's
request to
nothing
say I want a
significant.
copy. Regardless of when you started training your people, I still deserve and entitled to having a copy of it.
When I send it to you, I'll send you Perk's mailing address at the same time, okay?
I already have that one.
All right.
Thanks for your consideration. Now back to Article 42. This was left off at striking out final in the 1, 2, 3, 4th sentence of the bottom paragraph and replacing it with county's final administrative review step. Is that still the proposed language?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know, do you recall why we did not sign off on this last time? I know I think that we got sidetracked on it.
Because we're changing it to the fiscal year.
Was there anything going to be
I think that was the only thing I knew that was going to be different.
So you needed to put something into the proposal to reflect that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because right now it says date of hire or when promoted, and we're changing it to a fiscal year basis.
Okay, have you revised, can you just do it now to revise your proposal, or have you done it already? Is this a
You
simple?
mean one I could hand you across the table? No, I could give you language.
Well, that's the same, this is something we can work on now. I mean, I would imagine you haven't done anything with it since the last time we were together, and it's just something that's a quick change in the second paragraph.
Second paragraph, delete the clause that starts with the word date at the end of that sentence and insert, so now the sentence would read, the employee's evaluation period will be on a fiscal year basis.
Take a look at that and process. And are you ready to TA it with that change?
looking at your language, and yeah, the last paragraph says performance evaluations may not be used or repealed. But
After that, or that sentence?
that's that sentence itself. What was your position on that?
I understand the proposal, I'm not saying, I'm just asking you, before we, go into caucus to discuss this, I just want to make sure that this is what that you're okay with the proposal. I'm not saying necessarily that we're okay with it, I just want to find out what the proposal is before we, I'm not trying to make progress here,
Well, we wrote it, so yeah, sure, of course we're.
We wrote it, but we just had to change, a minute and a half ago, so I mean, it's constantly evolving. So everything's good to go with that change, right?
From our point of view, it is.
Okay.
How about you?
Huh?
How about you?
Well, I need to talk to me about it in caucus. I don't want to speak without talking to them first about it, to give an opinion on whether or not it's acceptable.
Want to take that break now?
Well, is there anything else we can, I don't know, if there's anything else we can look at, maybe get more done during our breaks.
Well, the more you have to do during the breaks, the longer the breaks are, so why don't we see if we can put this article behind us? Let's take a break now. Okay, we're back on at 9:38.
Okay, I had a chance to review this proposal, and I just want to get something out in the open to make sure that I'm correct in my thinking.
What page are you on?
5875.
All right, go ahead.
This is not tied in to a monetary raise increase. Right? I mean,
That's correct.
Okay, I think we've talked about this one time before, that if there was going to be a monetary increase tied into some sort of evaluation, that would be like a merit increase, that you would agree that the local union and the employer would have to negotiate, or would you agree? The local union and the employer would have to negotiate how that would roll out.
How the
In
pay
terms of-
associated with the evaluation roll?
In terms of what monetary raises would be awarded, based on what criteria, what you would, I mean, that would be a condition of employment, and that would be a subject of bargaining.
I think right now I would agree with that. If it occurred in the future, I'd update the research on it and see whether the law changed. But right now, that would be true.
Okay, we do have a problem with me adding something into this proposal to reflect that.
Depends what you add.
Okay, well, and I'm asking for a little assistance. I mean, something along the lines of employee performance evaluations will not tie into wage increases. Simple one line. Not tie into, will not.
Will not or do not?
Okay, do not. That's fine. I mean, I'm considering this to be good language.
Where would you put that?
At the very end. Okay, you want to put it in the middle? No, once it's in there.
Well, you're thinking about it, so I
Right.
guess you're thinking about where it would go.
I haven't gotten that far, but I think at the very end would be fine. Employee performance evaluations will not be used for, I say do not, are not used.
That's not.
Used for wage
Going in the middle or at the end?
I kinda like it at the end. I'm making an executive decision here.
I got a quarter, we can flip it.
I'm just gonna let it
Got
pass.
more than I do. Yeah, like,
So you've got employee performance evaluations are not used to determine wage increases? Is that your language?
I said you wouldn't, not use for, but I just determined, it's fine. You prefer the term, not used to determine wage increases.
And just so I'm clear, your position is if the county implements a pay-for-performance system, you want the right to bargain it before it's implemented, not impact bargaining.
Correct. Before it's implemented. You okay with this?
I don't know, I have to see it in the context of the wage article, I guess, now.
Well, why would that have any impact on it? I'm just curious. The wage article,
Because we haven't signed off on wages yet.
I understand that, but I thought that the idea was you're gonna have the ability to evaluate your employees on a fiscal year basis. And what does that have to do with our wage proposal? Our wage, I can tell you this, our wage proposal.
Because you just added language that ties wages to the performance issue.
I didn't have
So-
language, you asked me a question and I answered it. The language says employee performance evaluations are not used to determine wage increases.
Right, so if we get to the wage article and it becomes necessary to talk about performance related to wages, I'd like to tie to this particular language. Maybe we could resolve that too. Maybe we could resolve wages
Maybe,
by finding a performance component of it. Why would we close that out before we even get to it?
I'm not closing anything out. All I'm saying is that this particular article,
I'm okay with the language that says performance evaluations are not used to determine wage increases.
Right.
All I'm saying is I'm not prepared to TA on that
okay,
until we discuss the wage article,
I understand that, so.
because it may impact that.
Okay, do you have anything else that you're, willing to talk about?
On 23, annual leave, we're prepared to sign off on the status quo language.
Well, I would have to say that, that's gonna tie into the wages. Because if the wage increases are not what the committee, expects, but they're willing to, include an increase in annual leave, as far as the, the accrual rates, or years in the accruals that they may, consider as part of an economic package. So I will tell you that the language is fine, it's just the accrual rates that we're interested in, holding on to see what the wages are going to be.
Right. Do you have any additional thoughts or suggestions on Article 19, single?
Yeah, we're gonna have a proposal today. That encompasses seniority. And, that seniority article will also, our proposal will also take the place of the retention matrix that's been passed back and forth. But before we get to that, I'd like to see if there's anything else that we can agree to. This Article 30, page 4475, workers' compensation. The supplemental pay benefit is still something, is that still something that you're wishing to abolish or eliminate?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Can we talk a little bit more about the compensatory time or proposal, page 61 of 75, Article 44. I had asked, I just don't recall the explanation of why you struck out the second part of that for the.
Because I think the second part of it is inconsistent with the federal regulations on how employees should be paid for a pay period.
Was this original proposal taken out of the career service manual?
Lisa,
What did you say? Said what?
Lisa,
Okay, so would it be accurate to say that the career service manual, if this was taken from there, then you're saying that's no longer, or that language has a conflict in it?
No, my comments with respect to the language that should be in the collective bargaining agreement, I'm not referring at all to the career service rule. Until amended, that applies. I'm only suggesting that it's not necessary in the collective bargaining language because the employees would be paid in their pay periods if they worked overtime. Isn't that what you want?
Oh, no, I mean.
Don't you want them to be paid in their pay period?
Yeah, we definitely prefer time and a half. I mean, on paycheck. I mean, I understand that. I guess it's just, so if you're just saying that you're striking out that language only because you just have no interest in paying comp time ever again, right? I mean, that's
Paying for what they work, and if overtime is included in that, so be it. No sense carrying it on the books.
Well, then why do we even need to have a compensatory time article at all? You're basically saying, why have an article to say that we're not having?
Well, because the status quo provides for compensatory time. Federal regulations require there to be a written agreement to continue it. I want to make it clear that we're not continuing it. I don't want you to come back with a status quo argument since you know PERC's mailing address. You might file a ULP over it.
Well, I understand. I mean, most of the employees, tell me, if not all of them, that they would just rather get paid time and a half instead of getting comp time. And so, I mean, I just can't imagine, someone complaining, I don't know what you pay me for. I'd rather have time off. That doesn't happen very often. So, I mean, I'm just trying to find out what the reasoning.
so we're agreeing to no comp time.
I understand that, and my question was, if you don't want comp time, there's not going to be comp time offered, And the workers are just fine with that. And I heard your response was because you don't want the union to come back and say that something was changed without agreeing to it, right?
Right.
Well, I guess I'll talk to my committee about that as well.
Let's do it now. Probably move past this article if you do it now.
When are you going to work on those other articles? The seniority and the matrix, you said you're gonna have to get.
I'm not working on it, I've already done the work.
Ah,
You have proposals on them for us to read?
I'll present
You're not
them.
ready to give them yet?
I'm not ready to present right now.
Okay.
We'll email them to you. Email them.
Some folks out there telling me.
Okay, we're back on at 10:06.
Okay, yeah, the union is going to TA, Article 44, statutory time. I've scribbled on there and it puts it away on it.
What's the other one that was here?
oh, I
Oh, you-
just gave him a copy.
Oh, you did, okay.
Here.
All right. Oh, that's one you gave me.
Yeah.
Okay, so, want to talk about holidays?
That's all right. 48.
Sometimes you give me a before you get died. I bet you secret right now you're dying.
Yeah, Article 48, page 66 and 75. I want to make sure I understand the first paragraph. Because for each holiday the county commission designates as a county holiday, full-time bargaining unit employees will receive holiday pay in an amount equal to the amount they would have earned on a regular work day, unless the holiday falls on a day the employee is not scheduled to work or is on leave, in which case holiday pay for that holiday will not be paid. So, that is a change, I mean, is it correct in saying that that's a change in the status quo, that last part about unless the holiday falling on a day, the employee is not scheduled to work or is on leave, in which case the holiday, pay for that holiday will not be paid. Is that a change from the status quo?
I haven't looked at this. in
Yeah,
so
this is the
long.
same language that was in the last
Yeah.
contract that was submitted for ratification.
The one that was rejected?
Oh, we accepted it.
If the one that was rejected?
Yeah, you'd have to compare that version back to the career service rules, I guess.
All right, but regardless of if it was already submitted, I mean, I believe it is, and I'm just trying to confirm it, that's all I'm trying to do. I believe that currently if an employee is not working, in other words, if an employee works Monday through Thursday and a holiday falls on Friday, that he would be paid for that holiday.
The employee would be paid their regular work week.
Monday through Thursday.
Is that what you're saying?
I'll never get an additional day.
Oh, they would get an additional, they'd be paid for 5 days instead of 4?
Yeah, I believe that's what the status quo is now.
Okay.
I don't know. Can you guys, can anybody on our side confirm that?
We get an extra day off. That's what happens.
You don't get paid for next.
You don't get paid for an extra day, but you get the day off.
You get the day off. If you work Monday through Thursday, the 4th of July falls on Friday, and it's
You
recognized on
would, you would
Friday.
get another day during that week off.
So you don't get an additional day in your check. get an additional day.
Doing it up to 40, yeah.
Yeah. No matter how it works out, you're only working 4 days.
But you get an additional day.
Because the holiday counts as one.
So maybe we need to put that word in there. Yeah, I mean, is it your intent to do away with that, with this proposal, or is it an oversight, or?
No, it's our intent to do away with that. That if the employee is not scheduled to work on the holiday, there's no holiday paid for.
Okay, but what you,
Their regular work week would not be diminished. They just wouldn't be paid extra for a day that they're not working.
okay, well, I guess I'll rephrase the question. Are you opposed to them continuing the practice of getting an additional day off the following week?
Yes.
Okay, well, then, we're not accepting that part of the proposal. So I guess if you struck after the word in the third sentence, earn on a regular work day, put a period there and strike the rest of that sentence, that would be acceptable to us. And if that is not, if you're willing to go with the status quo, I guess as suggested, we have to create some verbiage to reflect that the employees would get an additional day off the following week, because that's just what the status quo is. And so we're just looking to maintain, what they are now. You want to consider that, or?
No, we've considered it. This is the second time you've seen the language, and we've been through it once before. I actually don't recall whether or not we spoke specifically to that article at the in passing or not, but I'm pretty sure we did.
I know at one point in time the proposal was for a $100 flat rate fee, and I don't know if that was changed just before the impasse hearing or not. I could probably find out in my notes without too much trouble, but I mean, that was the county's proposal.
Our original proposal was to go to a flat dollar value for each holiday, so that if the county granted 11 holidays, you take 11 times 100, and that's what the employee would receive, unrelated to where the holiday falls or anything.
John, can I elaborate on that?
Sure.
What I believe that $100 flat fee was, if on a holiday, if I'm on standby pay, called out for an emergency, that I would take rather than getting paid at the rate of time and a half, they wanted to implement a $100 flat fee. No matter if I was out for 2 hours or 8 hours, it would just be a flat fee.
I think you were reading something in there that was not our proposal. Our proposal was if the Board of County Commissioners designated 11 holidays for the year, each employee would receive $1,100. $100 for each holiday. All the other issues regarding call out or standby would operate separately just the way they did. We were not proposing to substitute holiday pay for anything.
So basically, the first paragraph is, just because I have a bad schedule, you're going to penalize me.
No.
Yes, it is. That's exactly
No,
what.
that's,
Okay.
that's your interpretation of it. That's not what it says.
You just said, if I work Monday through Thursday, and the holiday falls on the 4th of July, which is Friday, for argument's sake, I used to get another day off during that week. Now I'm not. So you are penalizing me.
Interpret it the way you will. We're not paying you for a day that you're not otherwise scheduled to work.
But you're not paying me. You're giving me another day off. I'm still only working 4 days.
I think our proposal is pretty clear.
The proposals have been clear all along. You've done nothing for the last 2.5 years but penalize us. You haven't given us anything in 2.5 years. You've taken away. But everybody feels so sorry for us because there's no money. They can't do anything for us. There's no money. We sat and argued 12 hours over a stupid patch that wasn't going to cost the county a dime. How many hours of pay did you get for that stupid patch?
I get paid for each hour that I'm here.
So you got paid 12 hours for a patch that we argued for 12 hours. Ridiculous. As a taxpayer, I'm appalled. I may be a county employee, but I am still a taxpayer, and everybody at this table are taxpayers, and I'm appalled.
Contracts are a complicated subject matter. First contracts take time to get. They take compromise. We haven't
I've been
seen
in the
much compromise
Teamsters, I've been in the Teamsters Union before, and I have never ever seen anything like this in my entire life. I was in the Teamsters in New York, and this is ridiculous.
Okay, so noted.
Sorry, Johnny.
Okay, anyone else want to comment?
I guess where I'm stuck on this, Monday is Memorial Day. In our group, we work 4/10s. Normally, my day off is Monday. So in theory, the way you're proposing, just so I have a clear understanding, is that I would come to work on Tuesday, and work Tuesday through Friday like I normally would, because I would not be reimbursed for Monday because that was my normal day off. But yet the people who normally worked on Monday would of course have the day off, because that was a holiday, and they would only have to work 3 days that week because they normally would work Monday through Thursday. So now you have some people working only 3 days, and other people are going to be required to work 4 days.
That's right. That's why our original proposal, which made a uniform payment for holidays, we thought was fair because it treated everybody the same for holidays. Some people would have received a little bit more than their regular daily pay for that. Some people would have received some less than. But at least everybody would receive the same. So going to your argument, you rejected our proposal to treat everybody the same. Not even look at the issue of
I
when they
think
work.
it's an absurd proposal to say that you want to treat everybody the same when that proposal is going to bring people down less than, I mean, what's next? We have a wage proposal that says, well, the union, you're all about treating everybody the same, so we have a new living wage here at the county. Everybody makes $10 an hour, or everybody makes $8 an hour. And to think that that's acceptable, that you can just lower the pay,
We've never made a proposal, anything like that.
well,
Our
a proposal for
was
holidays
limited
is
to holiday
very
pay.
much like that. You want to pay everybody
It's a paid benefit. We
$100. It's
quantify the
ridiculous.
payment.
So if somebody makes $20 an hour, and an 8-hour day, I guess they gross somewhere around $160. But you want to pay them $100.
Well,
They've been
then
making
you should have-
$160.
then you should have made a
And then
counter
go one
offer.
step further, you want to change the schedule, or change to where, not change the schedule, but if they have a schedule, like Doug explained, to where the holiday, if they're working anything less than a 5-day work week, then they're going to get screwed at some point in time.
John, then you should have made a counter proposal that.
I just did.
That
I
tried to
tried to
balance out
strike that
the.
last sentence.
Well, that's, we're
On
not
the
talking
first,
about
I mean,
that.
the last half of the sentence in the first paragraph. That's our proposal.
Okay.
So it's just, I don't understand how you can justify coming here and taking things away from the employees that they currently have. I don't understand. What do you actually think this contract's going to be ratified, that you're taking things away? Isn't the goal to get a ratified agreement? That's our goal, right? That's why you're here. You're here to negotiate a contract. And so you can only negotiate a contract successfully if the contract is ratified. At the end of the day, it has to be ratified. So to come here and to not get a ratified agreement means that you're not,
No, the contract, the negotiations can end many different ways. That's one of the ways. It could end the way it ended last time with a contract that was imposed, so.
we never had a contract. Contract was not.
No, but you agree that a contract, that negotiations can end with a contract being
It
imposed, right?
can, right.
Okay.
Can.
So that's an option.
You said that's
That's
what
what
happened
we
last
hear.
time, and I
That's
disagree.
an
That's not
option.
what happened last
You
time.
know, it's no more absurd than your position that the only contract you're going to recommend your employees sign that is one that provides either equal or better benefits than they currently have.
Do you think that's absurd?
I do.
What is it, what
Yeah,
is
I don't
it?
think that's good faith negotiating.
Okay, what is under, I understand this is public sector, but I mean, are you familiar with the National Labor Relations Act that says the employees have the ability to come together to bargain with a representative to improve their wages, benefits, and conditions of employment, to improve? That's the position of the United States government, okay? I understand that's not Jim Sherroff's position. Your position is to reduce wages, benefits, and conditions of employment. The United States government says workers come together to improve So how is that absurd? When the very law in the private sector that you negotiate under, that you organize under, the position of that law states clearly to improve things. So that's absurd.
Well, I think your interpretation of it is absurd, yes. Yeah, I think you're,
Okay,
I
well, I
think
can
you're cherry
read just as
picking.
well as anybody else, and that's what it says.
Well, I think you're cherry picking a phrase and using it out of context, which means that's absurd.
You're absurd. The fact that the county is paying you to come here from wherever you come from, basically waste everybody's time and spin wheels, that's absurd. The fact that we have to spend how many hours talking about a shoulder patch, whatever your hourly rate is, that's absurd. That's what's absurd. So, all right, let's continue on. Bargaining unit work. We received your proposal at the end of last bargaining session. And we've rejected that. And so we have a counter today.
13, number 10. Page 13.
Bargaining unit work. For those of you who weren't here last time, the county's proposal was basically to just strike anything other than the first sentence. Everything other than the first sentence. And that's unacceptable to us. So we have a counter on bargaining unit work. We have a counter on, we'll put that forward this one. You guys have it in your packets that I passed out to you.
This one, too.
So I'm breaking, I'm sure already have a question about it.
Explain C to me.
When supervisory or management or other designated personnel are needed to fill in for unforeseen circumstances, which cannot otherwise be filled for a brief period of time. What that means is that if there is a significant, as an example, a significant amount of employees, depending on the size of the work group, that call out sick or on vacation, there's scheduling issues that you cannot, the county cannot meet the work demand for that day, and they've offered the work to other people if they can, and no one has accepted it. Then at that point in time, those non-bargaining classified employees will be able to perform the work.
So there would be a precondition that off-duty employees would have to be called first to see if they want to come into work?
Well, yeah, if you have work available, that's correct.
How is unforeseen circumstances different than emergency?
Well, emergency to ensure the health and safety of the general public is a little bit, is a lot more drastic than a guy falling out, passing out at work because he's overheated and there's not enough time to get somebody in there or call somebody. Or if 3 people call out sick at the last minute, that's unforeseen. but it's not, it doesn't rise to the level of an emergency to ensure the health and safety of the general public. So it's just a matter of scheduling, I guess, or, something a little bit less drastic than an emergency situation.
But both B and C, preliminarily, management has to make a decision if it's permissible for non-bargaining employee to work, right?
Does management have to make the decision whether it's permissible? I guess
Somebody does, right?
Well, I guess whoever's in a position to determine who's going to perform work.
All right, so we make a determination that there's an unforeseen circumstance, right? And a non-bargaining unit employee steps in to do the work, right? What happens then if you disagree? How's that remedied if you disagree with it?
The same way that anything is remedied in this collective bargaining agreement, if we disagree with the application of the terms.
Okay.
The grievance procedure.
All right, and what relief would you be entitled to the grievance procedure?
Well, it all depends. I mean, I don't know what the facts of the case are. You gotta, if you want to give a very specific case, I'd have to take a look at it at that time. I have to listen to what the grievance position is. I have to look at the circumstances.
Just trying to understand, whether this is a cost issue or not. So, you make the pitch that the county improperly declared something to be an unforeseen circumstance, permitted a non-bargaining unit employee to work, and an arbitrator says, yeah, I agree, that was not an unforeseen circumstance. Then what? What's the remedy?
Well, the arbitrator is going to...
No, what's the remedy? The arbitrator...
Well, the union's remedy is going to be to make the person who is wronged whole.
Okay. All right.
And whether or not the arbitrator agrees with that, whether or not the grievant puts that on his grievance, is all up to the situation.
All right, so the county would pay 2 employees, one who actually did the work and then an employee that didn't do the work.
Possibly.
That's the risk to the county.
Possibly, if the grievant requested that remedy. Some grievants don't. Some grievants say, you know what, I'm not interested in getting paid, I just want it to stop, I don't want it to happen again. And so there may not be a monetary make-whole remedy to it. So it depends on the circumstances. But the issue of whether it was unforeseen or not is one of debate, and one that's going to have to be, resolved. If the county was aware of some sort of scheduling event 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month ahead of time, and they made no attempt or didn't make any efforts to fill the position, when they knew, I would probably say that that's not an unforeseen circumstance, or something that was foreseen, something that they just didn't fulfill their scheduling needs in advance.
But your language deletes some other provision of ours which would allow us in a situation where we could look 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months into the future, know there's an event where we might need additional people. Your language appears to eliminate our opportunity to subcontract out some of that work. Is that your intent?
Our proposal is as it's written. Our proposal is pretty simple, it's pretty basic. And so any deviation from your prior proposals, especially your most recent one on 430, which doesn't even address bargaining unit work, it basically just says that people can have job descriptions altered and changed, and you struck out everything that had any reference to do with contractors or subcontracting or anything performed temporarily. You struck all that out. You deleted all that in your last proposal. So your last proposal basically has nothing to do with bargaining unit work, so now we've gone back to what the proposal that the union wants to have in the CBA.
John, I'm just trying to find out what your position is.
I just told you. I just told you what our position is. This is our proposal. You can read it. It's simple. It's easy to understand.
Well, it's neither of those things, or I wouldn't be asking you.
Well, I disagree with that. And the fact that you just made a reference to subcontracting and the union, the county's proposal, your county proposal doesn't have anything to do with subcontracting anymore. It's all struck out.
Your language addresses the issue of subcontracting. It refers to non-bargaining unit employees.
I understand that. When I'm talking about our language, you made reference to your proposal. And this is your proposal. Remember this? Remember this one?
Of course I did.
Okay. There's no reference in your proposal to subcontracting.
But you didn't accept my proposal.
Right, it's been rejected. And it's been
So now we're
countered with
talking
this one.
about yours, and I'm asking some questions
Go
about it.
ahead. Ask away.
I did.
There's no reference to subcontracting in our proposal.
How do you define non-bargaining unit employees? That doesn't
Okay,
include-
people who are not in the bargaining unit. It's
But
not
that-
rocket science.
that
You
doesn't
you have bargaining unit employees, and then you have the rest of the world. And so,
Including people we could hire
including
as under
everybody,
subcontract.
everybody
on a
who's
temporary
not in the
basis.
bargaining unit is not in the bargaining unit. So you can sit here for 3 hours rattling off every classification of employees or non-employees or members of society. They all fall into the same bucket of non-bargaining. The only people that are bargaining unit employees are the ones that are in the bargaining unit.
Let me get hostile. You asked
I'm
me
not
if I had any questions about your proposal, and I have questions about it. Now you don't want to answer them.
I thought I just did. What didn't I answer? You said, are you talking about non-bargaining, or and then Barbara asked the question, your proposal, she asked the question, how do you define non-bargaining? Okay, let me think about this. Bargaining unit employees are in the bargaining unit, and everyone else who's not in the bargaining unit would fall under the heading of non-bargaining. So that's the answer.
Okay.
I would like to add for the record that this language is the same language as in the Hernando County VSCC agreement. And it's worked well for both parties, in my opinion. And we recently ratified a successor agreement, and there were no proposals from the county to change this language in any way. So therefore, I would assess that the language is working for both parties.
All right. What else do you have?
You want to take a break on that?
No.
I have a proposal for breaks and lunches. And I put it under Article 43. The reason I put it under Article 43 is because Amendment 43 references the work schedule overtime. This is not this proposal put forward is not going to be the entire, in other words, the number on this is not necessarily tied into the current numbering system. It's just where it would fall if we were to retain the same headings under 43 in the proposal. Does that make any sense? I needed a place to put it, so I just put on there Article 43.
So in part, it's a counter to the language under the heading paid personal breaks.
Under 43.
Yeah, on page 59.
Yeah, we hold on one second. Paid personal breaks and unpaid lunch. We are going to have another proposal, and a lot of these headings that are in 43 are going to be countered and broken out into a new proposal. So the point I'm getting at is that the 43 number right now is just kind of it's just a number at this point. Each one of the headings that's under the page 59 of 75 of your proposal is most of them are going to be broken out. Hours of work, attendance, and overtime are going to be broken out into another proposal. So we could use Article 43 as a new proposal titled Breaks and Lunches, Breaks and Lunch, and that's the reason I selected that number. just feel strongly about this, that we have to have a lunch break and 2 15-minute breaks. We just feel strongly about this, that it's not an unreasonable request for, I mean, this is not a sweatshop. This is not a third world country where employees don't get breaks.
John, let me understand on Article 43, page 59, through 59 and 60. As it stands now, your position is you're rejecting all of that, and what you want to do is to take each of the individual subject matters and break them or address them in separate
They will
articles.
be addressed in separate
Is
comments.
that a proposal that you have for us today? Those are those separate articles?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I think you were distinguishing Pasco from third world countries when I interrupted you.
Yeah, it's just basically it. We're not interested in not having breaks at once. Do you have any questions about the proposal?
Well, the way I'm reading the first paragraph, you're referring basically to lunch, or you use the word break. Now, the way it's written, it sounds like they get paid.
Sounds like what?
They get paid. Doesn't say it's unpaid. And I'm wondering if that's your intent.
Well, yeah, the intent is to be unpaid, and that they're currently not paid for lunches now. So
Because I didn't know if that's why you refer to it as a break instead of lunch.
Yeah, why don't we put the word unpaid? Employees shall be granted an unpaid